Hello, I'm Dr. Ray Self, President of International College of Ministry. Welcome to our video. Today I want to talk about the dysfunctional family and people who are raised in a dysfunctional family and the roles that they tend to play even into adulthood. The word dysfunction means that something's not functioning correctly. Dysfunction means it's not operating the way it was designed to operate. Okay? If your car breaks down on the middle of the interstate, your car has a dysfunction. Okay? If the airplane refuses to take off, the airplane is dysfunctional. If the fish can't swim, it is dysfunctional. Okay? With families, God created families with a design in mind. Now, I like to keep things kind of simple and to the point. Families have three main purposes for the raising of children. Now, all of us were raised in some sort of a family function. Families are required to do or need to do three things. Now, some families do certain things better than others. But the number one thing that families are called to do by God is to nurture their children. Nurture means to love unconditionally, to hold them, to hug them, to affirm them, to cuddle them. Every human being, every child needs to be nurtured. Some years ago, there was a study after World War II, and they took two groups of babies that were in a hospital, and they ran a test on them. And one group of babies was not held or cuddled or picked up for a long period of time. Another group of babies was constantly held and picked up. Well, they found out that the babies who were not touched and held and picked up often actually had a higher rate of disease than the ones who were cuddled. So nurturing is important for all children. Now, the effects of this can be seen long into adulthood. The other primary thing that families are required to do is offer guidance. A healthy family will guide their children. In other words, teach them right from wrong. Don't cross the street without looking. Don't touch the stove. It is hot. Be polite. Do your homework. Go to bed. Guidance, okay? Teaching. And some families are very strict in that area. They guide their students, their children very well. They teach their students. Excuse me. I'm a teacher, so I think everybody's a student. But they teach their children and very well. Some families are very strict on this. Some families are not as strict. The other thing that families are required to do, or a healthy family does, is provision. That is protection. Every child needs a roof over their head, they need clothes, they need protection, and they need food. Now, the three areas, nurturing, guidance, and provision, makes a healthy family. If all three of these are done, then you have a healthy family. Some families are very good about nurturing, but not very good about guidance. Some are very good about guidance, but not very good about provision and protection. I knew a lady once who is a very sad story. She was a Christian woman, but every time we turned around, the woman ended up homeless. She was helped. She was given automobiles. The church helped her out. It actually gave her a place to live, but she ended up in a homeless state. It was very unusual. She gravitated toward homelessness. Well, she had a daughter with her, and she guided that daughter, and she loved that daughter with all her heart. But she did not provide for that daughter. Okay, that is abuse. So if a child is not nurtured, does not receive all three of these things, nurturing, guidance, or provision, you have dysfunction. And some people will call that abuse. Now, again, no family does all three of these very well. But dysfunction means something is not working correctly. Dysfunction can be caused by an absentee parent. Maybe the father's not there, or the mother's not there, okay, or there's a divorce, or a child out of wedlock, or whatever. One parent is absent, or you have dysfunction where the mother doesn't raise her own baby. The baby's raised by the grandmother. Now, sometimes this can work out really well, but the interesting thing about this, in the midst of dysfunction, okay, children will adopt one of four roles. And I want to talk to you about this. And what this has to do with you is these roles, if you do not understand these roles can be played out all the way through adulthood. Okay? Now, let me kind of back up a little bit and say this. God intended for every family to demonstrate His love, His care, His nurturing, His provision, His guidance to every child. Unfortunately, God's plan didn't always work out or play out in many families. So if you were raised in a family that was dysfunctional could be caused by one family member having an addiction, one family member having a problem with rage, one family member having a problem with depression. Dysfunction can, if the family's not working correctly, it's dysfunctional. So what do children do? Well, there's 4 roles that they play. Some children adopt what's called the hero child. Now, the hero child is the child who tries to do everything perfectly. They try to achieve everything at a very high level. They make sure they make straight A's. They make sure they never get in trouble. They make sure they do everything correctly. They tend to be perfectionist. This is what I call the hero child. And the reason children do this on a subconscious level is the hero child is trying to compensate for the shame of the family. It's a subconscious thing, but they're trying to compensate for the shame of the family. I know hero children that are 60 years old and are still trying to be the hero in the family. Okay? It is strictly a compensation. It's stressful. It's unnecessary, and sometimes controlling. It leads to a lot of problems. The second role that children play is they could be the clown. The clown child makes a joke of everything. Everything is funny. They just constantly laughing things off. In your class, if you look back to your high school days, elementary school days, you'll always remember there was a class clown, and there was always that one kid in class or several kids that were so perfect. They were they were the apple of the teacher's eye, so to speak, and they did everything right. And then there was the one who was constantly laughing, constantly cutting up. This is called the clown. I believe a lot of comedians today, stand-up comedians, actually, you just hear me, come from dysfunctional families and have played the role of the clown all the way through into a profession. Okay? Third role that children play is the scapegoat. The scapegoat is the child who says, you know what, just blame it on me. It's my fault. I did it. They're always in trouble. They're always the one getting spankings. They're always the one being grounded. They're always the one that's doing things they shouldn't do. The scapegoat says, you know what, I'll take the blame, just blame me. And if you think back again to your school days, because this is when you sit in a classroom with 30 other classmates as a young person, you're getting actually an overall view of humanity, okay? And I remember the scapegoats. I remember a guy named Sonny in one of my classes. I kind of went through elementary school and high school with him. He was constantly in trouble. But what was he doing? He's covering for the shame of his family. The fourth type is the lost child. Now, the lost child is the child who says, you know what, I'm just going to be invisible. I'm not going to matter. I'm going to kind of melt into the woodwork. I'm going to be seen and not heard. There's an old expression. It's kind of bad. It says children should be seen and not heard. So the lost child grows up with a I don't matter attitude. I'm not going to make any waves. I'm just going to kind of be invisible. I'm going to try to hide in my room. I'm just not going to matter. Well, all these roles are very destructive, okay? The hero child is stressed, wound up, nervous, perfectionistic. It's the one in the family who's wound up tight all the time, okay? The scapegoat is constantly in trouble to get that attention and to cover up the shame, which is also unhealthy. The lost child grows up thinking, well, I just don't matter. I don't matter. I'm invisible. I don't matter. Everybody else matters, but not me. That's near to my heart because that was the role that I played, and I remember carrying this role even into adulthood. Like, well, what is Ray? What matters about Ray? I don't really matter. Other people matter. Other people are more important than me. I was the lost child, and the clown avoids reality by joking and laughing everything off, but they're not dealing with reality. The point of this video is, have you played one of these roles your whole life? Okay, are you still playing this role? The root of this role is the dysfunctional family. Now look, you can't go back and undo your past, but you can do something about your present and your future. Stop playing dysfunctional roles. See, a dysfunctional family actually encourages these roles. I was encouraged to be seen and not heard. I had a sister who was encouraged to be the hero. I had another sister who was constantly the scapegoat. It's like there was a play, and this was our part in the play, and we all had to play our part, okay? It's time now to stop it. Are you playing a destructive, unhealthy role that you picked up from your childhood? I want to know something. The Bible says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Now that you see the truth, you can be free from this. It's time to assess yourself. Stop playing the destructive roles. And it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to have imperfections. It's okay to be you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. That's what God says. So the word for today is get this revelation, look at yourself, make the changes that only you can make through your own dedication, your own perseverance, and through prayer. I'm Dr. Ray Self. God bless you.